Okay. Awesome. Welcome to Thursday, July. Oh, I don't even know. Is it the 8th today? I have to check. July the 7th. I'm a day ahead of myself. That doesn't happen often. Okay, welcome to Gentle Yoga, Thursday, July the 8th. Ready for our class? Find yourself your comfortable seated position. Make sure that you're able to easily stack those upper body canisters on top of each other as much as possible without feeling rigid or stiff. So you've got your canister, which is the pelvis, you've got the abdominal canister, and you've got the thoracic or the rib cage canister. And they just go one on top of the other. And that just allows easy transfer of the weight of the upper body through the pelvis into the sit bones and into the chair. And then just check to make sure that the weight is falling evenly through both sit bones. And if it's not, just do a little body scan, see if you're holding tension somewhere. And if you are, take a few breaths and release that tension and see if that redistributes your weight just a little more easily through the sit bones. Wonderful. And once you've got your comfortable seated position, and if you feel safe and comfortable doing so, let your eyes close. Let the upper lids and the lower lids gently rest against each other. And just start to come out of the mind and into the body. Let your breath bring you there and build awareness of your physical self. Notice that when you inhale, there's expansion through the rib cage. Visualize your lungs inflating with every breath in. And then moving back to their original size as you breathe out. Then pay attention to the midsection, that abdominal canister. And note that it's soft. The abdominal canister is soft on the sides, it's soft on the top, and it's soft on the bottom. So when you breathe in and the diaphragm lowers, the rib cage expands, your abdominal canister expands on all 3 sides, all 5 sides actually, the front, the sides, the back, and the lower, so 4 sides. Just feel that natural expansion happening. And then shift your awareness to that pelvic canister at the bottom of the stack. And notice that the pelvic canister has more solid sides where the pelvic bones are, but it's still soft in the very front in that lower abdominal triangle, and it's soft at the pelvic floor. So in this position, the pelvic floor that's shaped like a diamond is facing straight down towards the chair. And it's just a sling of muscles that's created between the 2 sit bones and the pubic bone and the tailbone. And as you inhale and the pressure builds below the diaphragm, see if you can feel a little gentle downward push at the pelvic floor, as if it's just trying to lower a little more into the chair. And while you're paying attention to this, if you can't feel it, just know that it's a learning process and that it takes a little time. And I'll be right back. Wonderful. All right, then bring your attention back to feeling the whole breath all the way from the entry point at the nose, all the way down to the pelvic floor, and then all the way back up again as it leaves the body. And picture your breath as a circle, never ending. So the inhale blends into the exhale that blends into the next inhale. Now just pay attention to the hip joints and the shoulder joints. And as you inhale, notice there's a really gentle tendency for the arm bones to roll slightly outward and the hip bones and the leg bones to roll slightly outward too. And as you inhale, the arm bones and the leg bones move slightly in. And you're just allowing that to happen. Noticing that gentle, subtle movement. Notice that you're connected to your body now, you're focusing, able to feel. Then as you inhale the next time, turn your palms towards the sky. Exhale, draw your hands to heart center, palm over palm at the center of the breastbone. Feel the breath moving under your hands. And take a moment to set your intention for your practice today. It could be as simple as, I am present. I am moving with my body's best interest in mind. I am staying connected. Choose your own connection to your practice, your own intention for your practice. And then let's just place the hands in a soft, gentle prayer. Or if you like, you can leave them at heart center, because you can choose whether or not to partake in the creating of a vibration within your own body to start your practice. And we can do that through creating sound as an om or a hum, or through the Brahmari or bumblebee breath. And today I'm going to choose to do 3 bumblebee breaths. And that means I'm just going to let the teeth gently rest against each other, the lips gently rest together, and I'm going to let the tongue just be flat in the roof of my mouth and make a gentle buzzing sound, just like a bee would do. Okay, and if you're doing this along with me, it's 3 breaths, go at your own pace, and you can vary the tone and the level of your hum or your buzz while you're doing this. Whatever you're choosing to do, let's breathe in. Take a big breath in and then sigh it out. Notice if you feel some tingles through your teeth or your sinuses, maybe a little lower into your lungs and rib cage. And if not, that's okay too. Beautiful. Let's just let the hands rest gently on the thighs. Feel soft through the shoulders, neck, and jaw. And make sure you're not holding rigid through your body. Take a breath and exhale the tension. Make sure your bum muscles, your glute muscles are nice and relaxed too. Let's inhale and feel like your spine is growing tall out of the pelvis. And then exhale, bring your chin down towards your throat. Now, as you do that, there's no need to lift the breastbone, just moving the chin. And then notice how far down your neck or your back you feel maybe a stretching or lengthening sensation. And then bring the chin back to face forward. Pause for a resting breath. And now gently lift the chin. Just create a little bit of space on the front of the throat. Make sure you're not dropping back into the back of the neck. So you don't want to let your neck collapse. You're up nice and tall, and you're not going past that point where you can easily be in this position. And then bring the chin back to face forward. Keeping everything quiet below the collarbone. Let's take the right ear towards the right shoulder and make sure that your nose and your chin are facing forward. So if you can go this far and then you start to rotate your head up or down, just go as far as you can go facing forward. And then bring the head back up. Again, staying quiet below the collarbone, left ear to left shoulder. So I'm mirroring you here. In case there's any confusion going, that's not your left. I'm being your mirror. And then come right back up to neutral. We're going to follow a line on the horizon that's level with the level of your eyes. And it goes all the way around to the sides. And we're going to twist the neck and the head around towards the right, keeping your eyes on that level horizon. Again, only going so far that you don't need to tilt your head. Pause at the end of your range of motion, wherever that is. And then rotate back to face forward. The breastbone hasn't moved. And then following that line on the horizon around towards the left, staying level and only going so far that you don't need to tip your head. And then following it back to center. Okay, now I'm not muted. All right. Let me just check. I don't know what happened there. Sorry, guys. That hasn't happened in a long, long time. Okay. For those of you that are on camera, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me and see me. Awesome. Okay, great. So we were just doing neck rotations. We had rotated around towards the right and come back to center. And now we're just going to make little tiny nose circles. Well, not really tiny, but nose circles. So take your nose up to a clock that would be in front of you, up to 12 o'clock. So again, it's not a huge dropping back. It's just a little lift of the nose. And then you're going to trace around the clock, going to 3 and 6, over to 9 and back to 12. And then go the other way, go 9, 6, 3, and back up to 12. And then again, going clockwise around the clock with your nose. Not dropping back too far when you come up to 12. And then go counterclockwise around the clock. And up to 12. And then bring the nose back to face forward. And take a breath. And as you exhale, purse your lips a little bit and go. Press out with your cheeks. And just breathe normally, but try with a smile. Great. Awesome. Let's take our attention to our shoulders now. So your shoulder blades rest on your rib cage. And we're just going to lift the shoulder blades up the rib cage without squeezing the ears in, or the shoulders into the ears. And then gently release all of that tension. Glide the shoulder blades down the rib cage. Let them gently fall as if they're floating. And then bring them back up. Again, not squeezing the shoulders to the ears. And make sure you're not sticking your chin forward. And let the shoulder blades just come down. This time, just take your chin a little bit down towards your throat, just a little bit. And lift the shoulder blades again, straight up towards the ceiling without squeezing the shoulders to the ears. And bring them down. Let your chin return to neutral. And as you come to the bottom of your shoulder blades, natural and easy glide, draw them down towards the waist just a little further. And notice if both sides want to go the same amount. And release. Now take a few breaths and feel how your rib cage expands underneath your shoulder blades. And there's a nice gliding motion as the shoulder blades and the rib cage move against each other, not stuck down, but with separate movements. Great. Let's bring the hands down to the side. We're going to focus on the top of the arm and the outside of the top of the arm where a t-shirt sleeve would be if you're wearing one. And if you're not wearing one, pretend you are. And without shrugging the shoulders, just lift the arms up from the side using that t-shirt sleeve area of the arm just a little bit. Come back down, and again, using that same area, but on the inner arm, squeeze in towards the rib cage. Release and take the arms up, focusing on the upper arm. No shrugging, no changing your spine. And come down and lift up and come down. So imagine that you have a flashlight right here in the front of your arm on each side, and it's pointing forward right now, the same direction as your thumbs. You're going to take that flashlight and you're going to roll it out to the sides. You're going to roll it out so that it's now pointing off a little to the right and a little to the left. Now, check in. Did you lift your breastbone to do that? If you did, let the breastbone fall back to where it was. And if you have to take some of the rotation off your shoulders, that's fine. Beautiful. Your palms are going to face forward, focusing on the same area of the arm. Lift up a little bit and come down and lift up. And just move slowly, focusing on that same range of motion, lifting and letting the arms float down. Beautiful. One more. And relax. Take a breath. Shake out your arms a little bit. Okay. And now you're going to focus on the back part of the arm. So we're going to actually roll those flashlights from facing forward to facing more towards the rib cage. So face a little more in. And you're going to focus on the back of the arm where a t-shirt sleeve would be. And you're going to move the arm back without changing your spine and release. And just a little bit. It doesn't have to be super far. And release. One more time and release. And you're doing both sides. If I had to do one because I was just facing the one direction. So let's just do 3 more just in case you guys were following me too well. So take it back and release. Take it back and release. Take it back and release. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the arms up into kind of a reverse cactus. So as if you were like one of those cowboys ready to go into a what are those called? A duel, a shootout? Yeah, so just like that. So lift your elbows a little bit. Cowboy ready stance, we'll call it. Okay, perfect. And what we're going to do here is we're going to take one arm at a time, breastbone facing forward, take one arm back and release. The other arm back and release. And back and release. And back and release. Take the arms down and shake them out a little bit. Okay, so this was cowboy ready to shoot position. Now we're going to be the other cowboy with our hands up in cactus. Okay, drop your elbows a little bit. And we're going to do the same kind of thing here. Breastbone stays facing forward. Take one arm back and release. And you can bring your elbows down as close as you need to your rib cage. One arm back and release. Go back with the other side. So just going back and forth slowly. Noticing what does your body want to do when you tell it to take that arm back? Does it want to twist? Does it want to help out somehow? And just only go so far where we can kind of isolate that movement as much as possible. One more on each side. And take the arms down and give them a little shake out. Great. Okay, we're going to come back to those. So we wanted to warm up all of those muscles that kind of go around the shoulder here, because we want to pay attention to especially the back of the shoulder sometimes, because it gets left out a lot when we're doing stuff. So we're going to give the shoulders a bit of a break, and we're going to come down to the pelvis and to the sit bones. So feel that your sit bones in this position are pointing straight down. Glutes are soft to start with. You guys know for the most part what's coming up next. And if you're new or don't remember, we're going to take the sit bones, we're going to pull them underneath the thighs and tuck them up towards the back of the thigh bones. And then release. So I'm going to move my hands out of the way so you can see what my pelvis is doing a little bit. This is actually going to be the sit bone. Sit bones under and up and release. So I'm moving the pelvis as I tuck under and lift and release without curling the rest of the spine. So sit bones under and up and release. One more time, under and up and release. Okay, so try to leave these guys as much as possible quiet, the muscles in the back of your legs and your bum. And this time we're going to focus on the muscles just above the pubic bone here in the front. Here's your navel, here's your pubic bone. And you're going to work on drawing the pubic bone back behind the navel, leaving yourself quiet up above the navel. So draw the pubic bone back and release. Draw the pubic bone back and release. Now, as you're doing this, see if you can feel a little tiny smidge of a movement at the sit bones and release. Just do a couple more. We were trying to wake up those lower abdominal muscles a little bit. One more time. Great. And now we're going to combine those two movements and we're going to pull the sit bones under and pull the pubic bone back. So sit bones under, pubic bone back. Pause here. Should be nice and soft still up under the rib cage so that you haven't tightened up and leaned forward yet. And release. Sit bones under, both sides moving equally if possible. Pubic bone back and release. Okay, this time sit bones under, pubic bone back, rock backwards so your tailbone comes towards the chair. If it helps, you can put a little bit of pressure right here in your lower belly because you're going to roll forward as if you had a big ball in front of you and take your chin down. Start to come back to neutral from the pelvis, through the spine, up through the rib cage, and then the chin. And again, sit bones under, pubic bone back, onto the tailbone, curl forward. Come back up from the base of the spine to the top. Sit bones under, pubic bone back, tailbone, curl forward. Let's just breathe here. Notice how your breath feels. Where does your inhale go? Your belly is kind of busy right now. Do you feel a little stretch maybe in the low back area? Maybe the back of your rib cage, the sides of your rib cage. And come back up from the base of the spine all the way to the top for a nice resting breath. Okay, we're just going to move the pelvis in the other direction now. We're not going to bother to come up through the rest of the spine for a moment. But for now, imagine that your pelvis is sitting here nice and neutral, and you're going to nod it forward. So take the pubic bone closer to the chair and release. Pubic bone closer to the chair. Notice what's happening in your back. It should be comfortable. And release. If it's not, don't move your pubic bone quite so far. Pubic bone towards the chair and release. Excellent. And let's just leave that there for a moment. Okay. Continuing to move the spine. Always checking in with your canisters before you start a new set of movements here. Feel your sit bones are pointing straight down, breastbone forward. And we're just going to do a little tip over towards the right. And we're going to imagine that your back is just leaning against a wall here so that we're not twisting. We're going to keep everything just resting lightly against the wall. And as your head comes into your tipped over position, your nose and chin are facing forward too. Head comes up first, work your way down the spine. And then over towards the left from the base of the spine again, as if you've got that nice wall behind you. Get your nose facing forward. Your head comes up first and return upright in your chair. Nice resting breath here. Let's add some arms. So make one of those heart bomb positions. Curl the fingers as if you're going to go boom with your heart. Nice. Okay. Check in with your canisters and your soft glutes. Tipping over towards the right from the base of the spine to the top. And then stretch the arms out. Spread the fingers. No shrugging. Bring the hands back in and return upright. Over towards the left, stretch the arms out, spread the fingers, head comes up first, hands come in and return. Over towards the right, stretch the arms out. This time, pause here. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed and imagine your shoulder blades coming further around the sides of the rib cage as you really stretch your fingers far away. Release that, hands come back, return upright. And then over towards the left, same thing, stretch the arms out. Shoulder blades are going to come further around the sides of the rib cage without shrugging. Stretch the fingers, maybe give them a wiggle. Bring the arms back and return upright. Beautiful. Awesome. Boom. Good job. Okay, so continuing to move into a twist now. So sit bones pointing straight down. Canisters are stacked, glutes are soft. We're going to think about the vertebrae in the low back that are below the navel. So below the navel and above the sacrum. So here to here. And we're going to take those 5 vertebrae, those 5 little tubes that are stacked on top of each other, and we're going to twist them towards the right. So little micro twists, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Chin is still lined up with the notch in the collarbone, and release. And then 5 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. Do that a couple of times. Going to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice how subtle the movement is. And release, and really feel it down below the navel here. To the left, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. Do a few more at your own pace. Remember, going slowly allows you to really connect with the movement, create that neuromuscular pathway, and release. And always fully release once you've finished your 5 micro twists to each direction, and release. All right, take a nice big breath. Allow it to go low in the belly and actually feel a nice expansion through that lower abdomen. Exhale all the way. Great. Let's take that twist up higher now, starting low though. Do your 5 micro twists towards the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's slide that right hand back towards the hip and the left hand over towards the right leg. Without pulling, see if that gives you a little more twist. And really think about drawing that left shoulder blade around the side of the rib cage and the right one back towards the spine. And then soften your gaze over your right shoulder. Make sure you're not pulling with those arms. You want the muscles in the torso to do the work here. One more breath. Unwind the neck first. Bring the hands back to the thighs and unwind the rest of the spine for a resting breath. Okay, now we're going to go to the other direction, to the left, starting low, 5 micro twists with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, nice engagement down low. Slide the left hand back towards the hip, the right hand over towards the left leg, and think about drawing that left shoulder blade towards the spine, right one around the side of the rib cage, and see if that gives you a little more twist without pulling with your arms. Lots of belly work happening here. And then soften your gaze over or towards your left shoulder. Breathing gently here. Now unwind the neck first. Bring the hands back to the legs and unwind the rest of the spine. Nice resting breath. Gorgeous. Okay. Remember I said we were going to come back to our arms doing some interesting things with the back of the shoulders. We're going to do that now. So let's bring the hands just to a gentle prayer. Take the arms up, keep the breastbone facing forward. Notice how those muscles you just lit up down in the belly are working now to keep your spine tall. And then open the arms into cactus. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to move the spine in different directions with the arms in this position. So make sure they're comfortable. They don't have to be high. They can be low, slightly forward of the body, and tip over towards the right. And come back up. And over towards the left. And come back up. Okay, got to focus on this one now. Keep it below the navel, twisting towards the right. So 5 micro twists. And come back. 5 micro twists towards the left. And come back. Bring the arms down. Squeeze that upper arm into the rib cage and rotate so the fingertips come together. And give a gentle press without moving your arms away from your rib cage. One more breath. Release and open. Keep your arms against the rib cage and see how far back you can take that rotation without popping your chest. Relax the arms. Take them back up to cactus. And draw the left one back. Bring the left one forward so it's in line with the shoulders. And take it back. Right one goes back. Draw it forward in line with the shoulder. Oops, did you see how I was rotated there? Wrist should be as much over the elbow as possible. And take it back. Beautiful. Bring both arms down. Take a breath. And let's come back to that cowboy ready to shoot position, but just with the left arm. Take the arm back and see if you can rest the back of your hand somewhere on your waist or your hip without hiking your shoulder. And if you can't, put the front of your hand down, just drawing that back as much as possible. Beautiful. Okay, now what we're going to do, wherever your hand is, it's easy if it's easier if it's the back of the hand in some way. See if you can lift your hand off wherever it's resting by drawing the arm back a little more. You can't really see because I'm against the black there. There you go. So draw the hand off and then let it relax. Does that make sense to everybody? If you're in this position, then simply try to slide the hand back a little bit on your thigh. Does that make sense? Okay, great. Awesome. And relax that arm and give it a little shrug around. Then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Brian and Lucy, can you give me a wave? Are you guys? Okay, good. I wasn't sure. Okay, awesome. Okay, so we're going to come back to that cowboy ready to shoot position on the right side now and draw the arm back and rest the back of your hand somewhere on your leg or your hip if you can. And if you can't, just the side of the thigh. And then we're going to see if we can lift that arm off by drawing the arm back further or the hand off. And if it's on your thigh, just draw the arm back and let the hand slide. Just do that a couple of times. Lift it off and release. Lift it off and release. Or slide it back and release. Slide it back and release. And let your arm relax there. Take a breath. Okay, so while you're just kind of giving the shoulders a little bit of a break there, we want to kind of focus on that back of the arm because we spend so much time in this position, not just on computers, but driving, gardening, whatever you're doing for activity. So much of our life is in front of us that our body tends to lean that way naturally. So we want to just do some other movements that will help to strengthen the body in the other direction. And the shoulder is often one of those things, those areas that gets forgotten when we do that. So just give me a little bit of posterior shoulder love here. All right, great. Take the hands down to the sides, take them up, bring them over the head just as much as is comfortable. And then if you have to bring your arms forward to bring your hands together, go ahead and do so, but bring them together wherever is good for you. Draw them down to prayer. Beautiful. Take a breath here. Let's take the left hand and reach it up just as much as is comfortable. And the right one is going to reach down. And then bend the elbows. Take the hands through and switch. So if you have to kind of hike the shoulder, then bring your arm forward. Don't straighten it as much as you can, as I am or someone else is. Simply straighten it enough so that you don't have to straighten or to hike your shoulder. And then bend the elbows and switch again. So if you're able to take that lower arm back a little, that's great. If not, just point it straight down. And bend the elbows and switch again. And then return the hands to prayer and take a breath. So you know we're building to something, right? Awesome. Okay, let's just work a little bit on the hips now. Slide the pinky fingers or the thumbs into that fold between the thigh and the abdomen. And we're just going to tip forward. And as you do, see if you can squeeze your fingers or your thumb with the front of the pelvis and your belly. And notice that your sit bones lift off the chair a little bit. Your spine is still nice and tall. Leave your spine tall and come back up as a single unit from the pelvis to the head. Okay, remember those muscles we just triggered in the back of the upper arm? Let's use them again. It's a little bit of a backwards rotation with the arm. So your flashlight's going to go a little bit from pointing forward and in to pointing a little more out to the sides at the top of the arm. So it's a little bit of rotation. So we're not hugging the shoulder blades together. We're rotating this arm bone in the shoulder socket. Just a titch. Keep that rotation as you come forward again. Squeezing your hands with your belly and your pelvis. Sit bones have come off the chair a little. And then draw back up. Take a breath, relaxing everything. Then engage those posterior shoulder muscles again. So right at the back of the upper arm and tip forward. This time, take a breath here. Bring your hands out from the crease between the thigh and the abdomen. And then drape your body as much as is safe and comfortable for you over your thighs. And if it's okay to take your head below your heart, you can lower your head and slide your hands down the sides of your legs towards your feet. Notice that your belly is running into your thighs here. So you might feel a little expansion through the low back and the back of the rib cage when you inhale. And that's a good thing. Now also take note while you're down there, take a peek at your knees. See if you can make sure they're tracking into the space between first and second toes on both sides. And then leave that alignment with the knees and the toes and draw back up to that neutral spine position. So nice and tall. Bring the hands to heart center and then draw all the way up to seated and take a breath. Beautiful. Let's tip forward part way again. So not coming down as far as you can. Your spine is nice and tall. And we're going to combine a movement here. So we've got this nice tall spine. And now we're going to tuck the sit bones under, pull the pubic bone back, rock back onto the tailbone, and come up to neutral from that tipped forward position. Okay, let's do it again. Tip forward, neutral spine. Sit bones under, pubic bone back, find your tailbone and curl up. So it's kind of like a wave. And again, tip forward, sit bones under, pubic bone back, tailbone, and curl up. One more time. Tip forward, neutral spine, sit bones under, pubic bone back, find your tailbone, curl, and then come all the way up to seated. Nice. Get that nice little snaky movement through the spine. Great. All right, let's take those hips now. You might have to move a little forward in your chair. And we're just going to explore some ranges of motion. So your laser beams or your flashlights are about one hand breadth down from that crease between the thigh and the abdomen. And in your sitting position, they're pointing straight towards the ceiling. We're going to start moving the right leg. So your left flashlight is always going to point straight up. And we're just going to take the right flashlight and we're going to roll it out to the side. Focus on that flashlight right here at the top of the thigh. Roll it back to face to the ceiling. Roll it in towards the other side of the body, so towards the left. And roll it up to the ceiling. So remember, we're not thinking about the knee at all, just the flashlight. Roll the flashlight out to the right. Roll it up to the ceiling. Roll it over to the left and up to the ceiling. One more time. Out to the right, up to the ceiling, over to the left, feel the muscles work, and up to the ceiling. Take a breath here. If you want to give that thigh a little bit of love, go ahead, do that. We're going to change sides. So now the flashlight on this right leg is always going to point to the ceiling. And the left one is going to move. And we're going to roll it out to the side towards the left, up to point to the ceiling. Roll it in towards the right and up to the ceiling, focusing right here. Roll out towards the left, up to the ceiling, and in towards the right and up to the ceiling. One more time. Out towards the left and up, over to the right. Notice what's working on that inner thigh and up. Take a breath and just give a little bit of a rub if you want to. That just helps to, let the muscles relax, but also to build awareness of the area. Because now what we're going to do is we're actually going to squeeze the thighs together. We're going to slide the feet and the upper thighs together. Squeezing here as if you had $1,000 bill right there between the upper thighs, and you don't want anyone to take it. In the meantime, you're going to make sure your glutes are nice and soft. So squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Release the squeeze. Take both your flashlights now and roll them out to the side. Come up on the outer edges of your feet. Now, if you had to rock back to do this, don't take your thighs out so far. Same as if you had to kind of tip forward to do it, don't take your thighs out so far. We're just moving this joint where the thigh bone comes into the hip. Now roll back together. And as you roll together, think about that $1 million bill right at the very top. And then roll them out. And you're really thinking about right here, right at the top of the thigh, and roll in. Squeeze them together at the top. Roll them out. You can put your hands on your thighs too, if it helps to keep your awareness where it needs to be, and roll in. And release and relax. Great. Move your legs back to that nice neutral position in line with the hips, knees tracking into space between first and second toes. We're going to start with the right leg. So again, this left flashlight is going to point straight to the ceiling and stay pointing that direction. We're going to take this right leg, and this flashlight is always going to point to the ceiling, but it's going to trace an arc on the ceiling towards the right. So it's like opening a gate. This is the hinge. This is the gate itself. And we're going to take the gate and we're going to open it towards the right. Knee is still tracking into space between first and second toes, and it stays that way as you close the gate back to where it started. Did you see me cheating with my left leg? Yeah, it's easy enough to cheat. Just awareness. It doesn't matter if you do, it's just being aware that it's happening. And then open the gate and close the gate. Open, make sure you're breathing, and close. Open the gate and close the gate. Excellent. Take a breath. Point this flashlight on the right leg up towards the ceiling and leave it there. Track the knees between the first and second toe space on the left, and point that ceiling straight, or that flashlight straight to the ceiling, and you'll draw an arc out to the side and back, opening and closing the gate on the left side. So focus on that top of the thigh, and you're going to open the gate, knee is tracking, and close the gate. Open it wide as you can without shifting any other part of your body, and close the gate. Open the gate and close the gate. Take a breath here. Okay, let's open both gates now. So we're going to take both gates out one at a time into a nice wide-legged position. Settle yourself in. Make sure you're able to still be up tall on your sit bones, and slide the thumbs into that fold between the thigh and the abdomen. If that's not comfortable, use your pinky fingers instead. You're going to tip forward, and you're lowering the pointy parts of your hips towards that V of your legs. Spine is tall. Breathing here without using your hands to help. If possible, draw back up into a nice neutral sitting position. Take a breath, and we'll do one more of those with the tall spine. You're going to tip forward and kind of push back into that fold between the thigh and the abdomen as you tip forward. And draw back up with a neutral spine. Pause for a nice low breath here, moves down low in the body. And then tip forward, not quite as far this time. We're going to do the same thing that we did with our legs closer together. We're going to draw the sit bones under, pull the pubic bone back, rock onto the tailbone, curl, and then come all the way up. Do it again. Tip forward, knees are tracking into space between first and second toes. Sit bones under, pubic bone back, rock onto the tailbone, curl, and come up. One more time, tipping forward, sit bones under, pubic bone back, curl onto the tailbone, through the body, and all the way up to seated. Take a nice low breath here. The nice thing about having the legs nice and wide is you've got lots of space for that lower belly expansion when you inhale. We're going to leave the legs in this position and we're going to do a little bit of side bending. So let's place the hands right here on the lower belly. Start at the base of the spine and tip over towards the right. Everything faces forward and come back up and over towards the left. So notice how your knees are tracking into space between first and second toes and come up. Beautiful. Let's twist in this position with our legs too. So micro twist towards the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slide the hands around towards the right hip. Doesn't matter how far they go. Just think about your shoulder blades shifting. So the left one around the side of the rib cage, right one back, and then soften your gaze towards your right shoulder. Unwind the neck, bring the hands back, unwind the spine. And then towards the left, micro twist, low in the body. Slide the hands around, shift the shoulder blades, and soften your gaze, twisting the neck gently. So the only thing the neck is doing is moving the head, right? The big muscles in the body are moving the rest of the body. And unwind the neck, bring the hands back, and unwind the rest of the spine. Take a breath here. Beautiful. Close the gate a little bit, maybe about halfway. And then we're just going to roll the legs back and forth. So this time we're leaving the body quiet and removing the hip joints. So just rock. So we're in an open gate position, but we're rotating the thighs in and out. So you got two things going on here. So as you rotate the thighs in and out, your feet just naturally roll up onto the outside and inside alternately of the feet. Great. Body is staying quiet. Excellent. Let everything quiet down. All right, let's turn towards the side of the chair here. Settle yourself in nice and secure, making sure that you can balance yourself and brace yourself with the seat of the chair and the back of the chair. You want to feel secure. If you don't feel secure, then don't do this. Make sure your chair is going to support you. So whatever leg is on the outside, that's going to be the free leg. I'll call that, okay? The free leg. And then the other leg is going to be called the resting leg because I didn't tell you which way to turn. So who knows where you are. Perfect. So sitting nice and tall, we're just going to stretch the free leg forward, reaching the heel away from the sit bone. Tall spine. Breathing here. Okay, staying in this position, we're going to do 5 micro twists towards the resting leg or the back of the chair. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep your knees and toes pointing to the ceiling and then unwind. Beautiful. Bend the knee, slide the foot back, and only go back so far that you can stay upright through the body. So if you have to start tipping forward, then just take your leg back to where you don't have to do that. Breathe here. Spine is tall. Just enjoy that opening on the front of the hip. And 5 micro twists towards the back of the chair. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take a couple of breaths here. Then unwind and bring the leg back up. Beautiful. Press the heel forward. Take that free hand, if you feel confident, just into the fold between the thigh and the abdomen. If not, just stay connected to your chair and do a little bit of a tip forward, moving your sit bones back a little bit from where they started. Take a breath and draw back up. Let's bend the knee, slide the foot back as much as is comfortable. Breathing here. So really enjoy a little bit of space in the toes here. You're just with the toes tucked under as much as is comfortable. You're just opening the bottom of your foot, nourishing those toe joints a little bit, and then bring the leg back up. And let's change sides. Again, your outside leg is your free leg. The quiet leg is the other leg, stabilizing leg. Hands are securing your position on your chair. And let's slide the outside leg forward, heel reaching away from the sit bone that's still pointing straight down. Take a few breaths. And with the toes still pointing straight up, we're going to do 5 micro twists towards the back of the chair. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And just notice all the different sensations and muscles working differently in the different positions, and unwind. Bend the knee, slide the leg back, and remember, only go back so far that you don't need to tip forward or you're not kind of arching the spine. You're nice and neutral through the spine, comfortable, creating a little bit of space on the front of the leg here. And then we're going to do those 5 micro twists towards the back of the chair again, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, noticing side to side, do they feel different? And then unwind. Bring the leg up, stretch the heel forward. And this time we're going to fold a little bit of that line between the thigh and the abdomen. You can give it a little push back if you feel stable on your chair. Feel the sit bone move slightly back. So now instead of pointing straight down, it's slightly pointing a little backwards. Spine is tall. Draw back up. Bend the knees, slide the leg back. Take a breath here. And just feel the opening of the toe joints. Some space at the front of the hip. One more breath. Then bring the leg back up. Pause for a resting breath. And come back to face the front of the chair. All right, so we're going to combine a whole bunch of the movements that we've just done. Okay, so get ready, but only do as much as you're comfortable. If you've combined a couple of movements and you're like, you know what, this is good for me today, then that's your body saying that's where you need to be. But you can watch and think about doing the other movements, and just that thought process starts to build and cement in those neuromuscular pathways that we're trying to build. Okay, great. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open the gate on both sides. And on the left side, roll that leg in and see if you can comfortably straighten the knee a little bit. So you can adjust yourself on your chair. You might want to move a little to one side and see how much you can straighten your knee. You don't have to straighten it much. If this is where you are, this is where you are. Hang out there and enjoy the sensations. You want to be able to enjoy the sensations and feel everything nicely. So we would like to have the toes, no matter how extended your leg is, toes and knees pointing towards the front of your room. Okay, just hang out here and enjoy. On this side of the body, in the right side, your knee is going to be tracking into space between first and second toes. So this position can look like this. It can look like this. It can look like this. Anything that works for you and is not painful, and you can feel like you can hang out there for a little while. Okay. Feel how your pelvis is aligned here, and feel that you want your breastbone, your navel, and your pubic bone to be facing all the same direction. Take the hands down beside you and take the arms out to the side in a T. So we don't want them to be kind of twisted. We want them straight out from the shoulders, but slightly below the shoulders if possible. And you're using those muscles that we woke up at the beginning at the top of the arm. If you like, you can start to kind of look out towards the right side, but you don't have to. Just breathe here. So this is our nice relaxed version of Warrior Two. Make sure that we're not like lifting that front shoulder. Great. Bring the hands down to rest on the pelvis. Ready? Little side bend towards the left. And come back up. If that felt comfortable and you feel nice and stable and secure, side bend again. This time, stretch your left hand down your leg a little bit, your left leg. And if this feels really good, you can take your right arm up towards the ceiling. So your palm is kind of facing back towards the left side. And again, this can be in a bent arm position. You can stay where you were, wherever feels good. So this is a beautiful, peaceful warrior. Okay, and let's do a little bit of a cartwheel here. Bring the arms up, bend the right arm and place it on the right thigh. Little side bend towards the right and reach the left arm up to the ceiling. Again, it can be here. You can keep your leg resting on your thigh. You don't even have to side bend if you like. Beautiful. And come back up. Take a breath. Shift on your chair a little bit, reestablish your gait, open gate position, take a breath, and we're going to change sides. So shift maybe a little bit to the right, roll this right leg in, and slide it out to wherever is comfortable. It doesn't have to be a straight knee at all. You're kind of coming up on the inside of your foot wherever you've rolled it into and straightened it out too. This left knee is tracking into the space between first and second toes. You can feel your sit bones on your chair. And you're lining up your rib cage, so your breastbone, your navel, and your pubic bone all in one line. Beautiful. Just take a few breaths, settle in. Hands come down to the sides. Focus on the top of the arm where we were working earlier and float the arms up. Great. Make sure that you're soft up here. So we're not like holding the arms up with your upper shoulder muscles. It's the actual muscles on the arm. And you're in a nice T position with your body, and you can take your gaze towards the left if you want or not. Feel that this knee is still tracking. Breathing here, a nice warrior two position, and bring your hands down to the pelvis. Little gentle, really small side bend towards the right. And come back up. And again, only if you feel super stable, do this, right? So if that felt good and you want to try to do more, we can do the next step. If it didn't feel good, don't do the side bend again. Just hang out here. Tip over towards the right. And if you like, you can slide your right hand down your thigh. There's zero weight on this hand, by the way, zero weight. If this feels good and you want to try a little more, take your left hand up towards the ceiling. And again, cactus, forward of the body. Do what feels good. Explore and enjoy. So make sure this area feels nice and effortless, okay? If it's a real hard thing to do, then lower your arm a little bit. Breathe. Okay, going to cartwheel forward now. So we're going to come up, do a little side bend towards the left, the back of the left upper arm on the thigh. Take the right arm just to where it's comfortable. So play with it. Notice where it feels good. It can be out to the side, cactus. It can stay down here, whatever feels good for you. And we're in a nice supported extended side angle variant position. And then come back up into neutral. Bend that knee a little more. Come back to your open gate position. Okay, you might want to bring your legs in a little bit closer and come a little bit closer to the front of your chair and bring your hands to heart center. Knees are going to track into space between first and second toes. And let's tip forward and press into the feet. We're going to float the hips up, press into both feet equally and come to standing. Awesome. We've been working so much with these thigh bones. Let's continue to do that. Roll the left thigh in and roll the right thigh in. Lift your left heel, roll that thigh out. Lift your right heel, roll that thigh out. Lift the left toe, thigh in, right toe, thigh in, and you're in standing. Beautiful. Okay, we're just going to come straight to our chair here, the back of the chair. Excellent. And we're just going to slide, take the weight into the right leg, and we're going to slide the left leg back behind you. Squeeze the bum a little bit here. We're going to open up some space at the front of the hip again. Breathing. Soften the front knee and come back down to your heel if you're able to. Come back up, straightening the front knee and onto your toe, and then bring that leg back. Switching sides, press into your left leg, slide the leg back. You're on your toe here. Beautiful. Get a little opening on the front of the hip. Soften your front knee. Press back onto your heel if you can. So you're a little bit of leaning forward here. Commit to that front leg. So you're going to come up and straighten that knee, and it's doing the work here as you lift up and draw the leg forward. Take a breath. And walking back into downward facing dog, standing at the chair, lots of space under the arms. Fingertips are just resting on your chair. Sit bones are reaching as far away from the fingertips as you can, and you have soft knees. Feel your breath. Let your breath flow through your body. After your next exhale, soften your knees a little more. Leave your hands on the chair and walk your feet up towards the chair. And we're going to come back into our chairs just to kind of do a little self check-in. Maybe notice how you feel as compared to when you started your practice today. How is your breath moving? How do all your bits and pieces feel? Excellent. Your breath is happening lower in the body and slow at pace. As you inhale, the next time, turn your palms towards the sky, and exhale, draw them to heart center and pause here. Let's take a few moments to practice gratitude by thinking of and being thankful for at least 5 things in our lives. And then placing the hands in a soft, gentle prayer. Let's chant Om, or use the Brahmari bumblebee breath, or hum, or simply listen to everyone else. We'll do that for 1 breath. Let's breathe in. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti is peace, peace, peace. Thank you so much for joining me, and congratulate yourself for getting through the practice and bringing yourself today. That's awesome. For those of you that are watching on the recording, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please make sure that you reach out, and I will do my best to help you out and to answer them. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye for now.